Hello and welcome back to the show. Again, we are talking with certified financial planner Matthew Gallagher, founder of Prosperity Wealth Management. So Matthew, we have been talking about, lots of things actually. We've been talking about, in particular, what it means to be a CFP, what it means to be a fiduciary, what it means to work with you and Prosperity Wealth Management.
Right.
And one of the questions that I'm really curious about is, you've been doing this for a while. You've been in and around the business. You said 15 years, probably. If you title it.
In and around much more than that, actually. Yeah.
So in working with folks that are getting ready for retirement,
sure,
15, 20 years out, what common things are you seeing that maybe they've taken missteps? We don't want to say mistakes, but
sure,
missteps or misdirections. Well,
one of the biggest missteps I see is taking steps without knowing what you are actually taking a step toward. Mm-hmm. There's so many people. I'll sit down and I'll look at their statements and I'll go through and I'm listening to them. So I'm hearing what they want and what their hopes and dreams are, and I'll ask them questions and I'll realize that these plans that they have in their minds, they're not new plans. They're plans they've had all along. Mm-hmm. But I'll look at their statements and the two things are not congruent. They don't line up at all. And so I'll ask, I'm just curious, why do you hold XYZ investment or ABC investment? Why did you choose to handle your money in this way or invest in this way? Mm-hmm. And 99 times out of 100, the answer is, I don't know. That's what, Sam Smith, I'm making up the name, of course. Sure. That's what Sam Smith said over at ABC Company, or that's what, my current financial planner said. So I said, well, did they explain why? I mean, maybe, I don't really know. And that's a huge mistake because they don't understand, and they're not either taking the time to understand what they're investing in, or they're not asking enough questions, and they're just blindly investing in these things.
This actually goes back to the first segment when we were talking about the bias that is inherent not only in investors, they go on their experience, but then also the advisors themselves. And that is interesting that somebody could end up with their money in a certain spot, not knowing why it got there, but because they're going with something that this...
Oh, it's not just could. They do all the time. And it's the majority of people I see. Very few can tell me, and again, and I don't blame them for this, but this is where, one of the things I've talked about before is you have to take control of your life, your situation, your finances. You need to be asking those questions and understanding, because if a lot of these individuals truly understood what they were investing in, they wouldn't have invested in that. That's why they're coming to see me, by the way. They're coming to see me because they know something isn't right with how they're set up. Sure. Because they're already working with somebody. But that's why they're coming to see me, because it doesn't feel right, and they're getting close to retirement, and they're worried, and they're losing sleep.
When they come to you and they're laying out, they want to lay out that plan, which it sounds like a lot of folks, which you said they really haven't done anything. Do you find most people, when they come into your office, are willing to roll up their sleeves and get to work to get to where they want to go, or is it just kind of a deer in the headlights moments, or?
At first, it's a lot of deer in the headlights, and some of that comes from unrealistic expectations as well. We've talked previously about the biases, and what's funny is it is that recency bias. People go through markets like they did in 2001, lost half their money, and they remember that for the first little while, and they're very cautious, and then they start rolling right along, and they start getting aggressive, and it doesn't matter, and everything's fine, and then 2008 happens. Yeah. And then they're back in the same spot. And so now they're rolling along, and we're just waiting for that next thing to happen. And so it's important that you look over a long period of time. It's not just based on your most recent experience, so that we can make wise investment decisions, so I can lead you down that path. Because your retirement's going to be 20 or 30 years. And you're basically unemployed for that time. So you can't just go make it up like you may have in 2001 or 2008 through working extra hours.
And you're not at work. So I remember reading somewhere, somebody said, like, when you're retired, every day is a Saturday, and that's when most people spend most of their money. You go out, you got nothing to do. You have to work.
And then you've got the grandkids, and people are spoiling them, and they're traveling more with their family. And again, you can't afford to take that 50% drop in your portfolio at that point.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to switch gears. I've got something here. Okay. That this is a guide that you have available for people. I'm really excited about that. This is the 15 questions to ask about your Social Security benefit. Now, this is a guide that is available online, and we're going to dive into just a couple of these points. So stay tuned, come right back. We'll be back on the other side with Matthew and taking a look at this.